or we've been clapped in a second time, and I don't know that I can accomplish the intro that I just gave you. But I'll try.
Okay.
I'm here in your house, Coach John Hackleman, the pit master, even though you've been recently given a different moniker from our friends across the water in England.
Wow. Yeah, I have. But I'll stick with the pit master. Thank you very much.
All right, that works.
Welcome to my Mi Casa Su Casa. And this is the pit. This is actually it's like a little storage room, but it'll do. And this is where I do my podcast, which is, I'm humbled by this one, but we're here. So
give me a title. What's your title?
Our it's called Pitmaster and the Doc. And then we talk about everything from politics, not much, to UFC, MMA, martial arts, fitness, to orthopedic surgery, because my partner is an orthopedic surgeon.
Very cool. You guys cover a lot of ground.
We do.
Well, we have a lot to cover today, and I know, obviously, you've been on many podcasts before, so my apologies to the listeners that have already heard of you and know some of your backstory. I want to get your backstory. I was recently out in Hawaii hunting, and you grew up there, and you had long, curly blonde hair as a skinny haole. And I want to know how that went. Let's get some of this, the foundations of what led you to be one of the best coaches in MMA and a true martial artist.
I grew up thinking haole. I didn't think it was haole. Growing up, I just thought it was fucking haole, because that's what I just heard. I always heard fucking haole. It was like, fucking haole, go back to the mainland. Fucking haole, give me your lunch money. Fucking haole, what are you looking at? What fucking haole, like beef? So I thought they were one word, fucking haole. But now I find out they're two actual words. They were being rude. I just thought fucking haole was what they were calling me. And this was by my teachers. It's like, I swear to you, I have been called fucking haole by teachers.
Damn.
Growing up. I got punched by a PE teacher. I'm not going to name him because he's passed away since. And I was probably being a smartass at the time. But to get punched in 7th grade and being called a fucking haole it's a little bit much. I don't think it would be, I don't think it'd be tolerated as much now as it was then. But so it was tough growing up back in Honolulu, Hawaii. Like, it's not like you could say, South Central LA, there weren't drive-by shootings, even though my next door neighbor did get hit. Their house got shot once. I remember that. It was like fucking midnight. I remember just diving under my bed, but they were kind of into bad things, and their house got shot once. But anyway, but it's tough.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like drive-by shooting tough. It's beat the fuck out of you tough.
Yeah. There's
fights galore in Hawaii. Locals can fight. I think locals that grew up in Hawaii can fight better than any other culture in the world. They just have a natural affinity for fighting. They're not shooting, they're not stabbing, they're just putting up their dukes. You watch two like 3rd graders fighting in the schoolyard, you're thinking you're watching a full-on UFC fight. These fucking kids can fight. It's like they're moving. So it's a very fight-oriented culture. When I was growing up, they didn't really respect money or brains, but they did respect the tough guy. And for whatever reason, good or bad, I didn't grow up in a ghetto. I grew up in a very, very tough neighborhood. I mean, you just got looking at the 2 square miles of the people I grew up with, including Israel Kamakaviviole, if you ever heard of him. Brother is. The really big fat guy that sang, he died.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Brother is. He went to school with me. I grew up with him. He's my age. But, I mean, it's a tough neighborhood. But for some reason, instead of like being the haole guy that hung around with the other haole guys, and we had our own little safety place over here, and they usually smoked a lot of pot, and stayed out of the locals' way. And when they were looked at by a local, they would avert their gaze and not look back at them. I don't know why, but for some reason I went the other way and I hung out with the tougher group. I started boxing, I started training Kaji Kempo, and I started looking back at how locals. And when they said, "What am I looking at?" What the fuck you looking at, Howley? It would always be me saying something back like you. I don't know. It's smart, something smart ass back. So it caused a lot of fights. Um, and I started training at a very young age in Kaju Kempo, which is a system which was created in Hawaii in 1947. Have you ever heard of it?
Mm-hmm.
Kaju Kempo. It was formed for these locals: Kaju Kempo, karate, judo, jiu-jitsu, Kempo, and boxing. Kaju Kempo. It was formed by these local guys in a rec center so they could beat up haoles. No, I'm serious. It was started in the 40s, like 47, actually, 1947. And these local guys that wanted to beat up the haoles down on Hotel Street, which is the kind of place where everybody went for bars and stuff. It was downtown Honolulu, and the locals wanted to beat up the haoles, the military guys, because they were like hitting on their chicks, and they would go to their bars and stuff like that. So they started training this system, karate, judo, jiu-jitsu, kempo, and they would put those systems together. And it was kind of like our first actual MMA, kind of. But it was made for the street. So I started training, and that's kind of ironic that I started training with this system back in 69 or 70, 1969, 1970. And I had a really, really tough instructor by the name of Walter Godin. And Walter Godin had spent in and out of prison most of his life. And he was just this tough, hardcore guy that sold drugs, and he was strong arming, and he was doing protection rackets all over town. But he had a little, it was about the size of this room, which is probably 600 square feet. And this was the size of his gym. And I walked in at 10 years old because I didn't want to get the shit kicked out of me on Kill Haole Day. So I walked into his gym. I looked in the yellow pages. I found this place. I go, okay, I'll check that out. It was 2 bus rides. I had to transfer. And I went in. I walked into this room, and I just looked around. I was like, I found my home. I swear to God, I remember like it was yesterday. I was like 10 years old, but I remember it's like it was yesterday. I walked into this room. There was a heavy bag, a couple of makiwaras, and my instructor sitting behind the desk, big local Hawaiian guy. And I just remember thinking, I just found my home. I'm gonna fucking spend the rest of this is me. So I started training, and he toughened me up like that. And I went from, being timid, looking away from locals, being scared to go to school, give me your lunch money. I would give him my lunch money. But within like a year of training with Walter Godin, I was like, I wasn't taking lunch money, but nobody was getting my lunch money. I didn't look away from anyone. I was that guy. I was like, I was this fucking skinny haole kid, but I wasn't going to take shit from anyone anymore. I never did since then. And I think it was all because of martial arts training. I mean, hasn't it changed your life immensely?
No doubt. I mean, I didn't grow up with martial arts. Wrestling technically is a martial art.
It's very technically, yes.
That for certain changed my attitude. And I got picked on a lot because I was tall and very skinny. I looked like I was a couple grades older than I was. So a lot of older kids would pick on me and bully me. And again, I didn't grow up in the ghetto similarly, but the Bay Area can have some hard-nosed places, and I'd get chased down. I could either outrun them or I'd have to turn and fight. And that was the case a lot growing up.
So you wrestled from what age?
13 through junior high through high school. And that definitely gave me a different.
It definitely.
I remember.
Because it is a martial art.
Mm-hmm.
Wrestling and boxing are martial arts. So you learn the respect, you learn the discipline, and you learn how to kick ass.
Yeah, and to be into shape too, like to the point where you put yourself through, as with any good martial art, you put yourself through the grind to a point where you realize like there's nobody else that's doing this shit outside this room right now. Like there's something special's happening in here.
Is there a better feeling?
No.
There really isn't. Like I remember it so well because I remember the day that I was in junior high school, Kamiki Intermediate. Rough school, surrounded by really, really rough people. I mean, when I go there now with my wife, she's just like, you grew up here? What the fuck? But it's a nice place. It's not like ugly or anything. But I remember a guy named Daryl Silva, and I'm actually putting a different last name in because I don't want to show disrespect. but he was the big tough guy at school, and he was like 1 grade older than I was. And he told me he wants my lunch money. And I was like, lunch money was a quarter back then, guys. It was a quarter. You gave a quarter to the cafeteria lady, and she gave you a plate of food. And hey, fucking Holly, give me your lunch money. I was like, no, fuck you. And next thing I know, there was a fight. And the fight got broken up within like 5 seconds. Teachers broke it up. You never got in trouble back then. They just said, get back to class. And he goes, you fucking Holly, I'll fight you at Monday. I'll meet you at the back campus at 10 o'clock. And I remember that. I don't know how, but I said, all right. And that weekend, I remember training really hard and thinking, oh man, this week, come Monday, this is the big tough guy at school, So come Monday, we met at the back campus at 10 o'clock. Fucking place was surrounded with people. And I just thought, the choices I've made in my life, that's one of them. Because if I didn't show up, I'm a punk. If I showed up and punked out in the fight, I'm a punk. If I showed up and tried my hardest, I'm not a punk, but I'm not quite here. I actually showed up. We started fighting. I remember a roundhouse kick landed. I remember one of his friends obviously said, hey, you can't kick. I was like, fuck you, man.
I remember that on the street.
Yeah, I was like, fuck you. So I beat him, and he was bleeding. And I remember the teacher came, broke it up, and I beat him. He was defeated. And I remember I never looked back, and nothing ever was the same again in my life. Nothing. I looked at people a different way. They looked at me a different way. I walk with a different shoulders back. I mean, and this followed me all throughout my life. That one fucking morning on that Monday at 10 a.m. and nothing ever was the same. When I went to basic training, I carried myself in a way where even the drill sergeants were like, hey, do you mind doing push-ups? I mean, if you want to, you can. While they were yelling at everyone else, I swear to God this happened. You son of a fucking bitch, I'm going to kick your asses. Except for you, Hackleman. And I was like thinking and everybody else was like, what the fuck? And I was like, the confidence you get from martial arts, which wrestling, Kajikempo, karate, boxing, they're all martial arts. And they give you a confidence that you just walk around. Look how fanny pack. I wear a fanny pack. I wear my gis. I paint my toenails. I mean, we do goofy things because we can. And people and the confidence we have is so good. It feels so good to be confident, even at our my age and your age. It's I don't know. There's nothing better in life than walking around knowing you're wearing a fucking fanny pack when nobody's gonna say a fucking word, or walking into a club and just having fun with everyone and like, hey, giving everyone high fives and shit. You don't have to look away from anyone because they look too tough. And it's awesome. Isn't it an awesome feeling?
It's a good feeling. Yeah.
It fucking is. I love it. I love being a martial artist. Is he a martial artist?
I think he trains jiu-jitsu. Yeah, you're your blue belt now?
All right.
Almost.
Okay, so he's pseudo confident. But anyway, I'm kidding. But anyway, so that changed my life for good. And I had really bad feelings about Hawaii. Like when I left Hawaii to pursue a boxing and then, kickboxing career. And then I went to college and became a nurse, respiratory therapist, and other things. But I always had this feeling about Hawaii where I held a grudge, like, fuck you guys. You didn't like me. You made my growing up tough there. Fuck you. So like, like my ex-wife, hey, let's go visit Hawaii. I go, no, I'm not going to Hawaii. Fuck Hawaii, And I felt like that for a while. Then I went back for a reunion once, a martial arts reunion. And I just remember thinking, oh shit, I like it here. It's like, so we go back and promote every year now. That's where I do my black belt testing every year in November.
Yeah. And the Pit Ohana, where's that located?
The Pit Ohana, is all of us.
Okay.
It's just all of our gyms, all of our gyms, all of our online students. It's just Ohana means family.
Okay.
Right. So Ohana means family. So anyone that's in the pit, we consider them Pit Ohana.
And then you guys all meet up. The Ohana family all meets up once a year for the promotions.
We do, and we go there, and my older black belts come, my new black belts, and we do promotions for the people going from brown black belt to black belt.
Very
and I
cool.
take them through some of my old neighborhoods. We do running the hills. We go to my old boxing gym, Palolo Boxing Gym, great boxing gym. Um, we go there. We spar in the ring, and it's kind of a pilgrimage, or just kind of it's ceremonial more than anything. And we
Mhm.
just go back, and they get to see how our system, Hawaiian Kempo, was formed, and it was from me growing up the way I grew up. Bing.
Bang. Love it. So let's get into some other shit. You talked about fanny packs. I found it curious when I was training with you down here that you at least you used to always keep a gun in your fanny pack.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, wait a minute. You're Chuck Liddell's coach. You're usually with Chuck Liddell. You're also can handle yourself for damn sure. Like, why do you need a gun? Like, I just say it was foreign to me.
Though the fanny pack I've been doing since we went to Japan, and I fought there in like 90 or something, 89, and they were wearing fanny packs. And I love that custom. I love having, and I always wear a gi. So I always had to wear a fanny pack because I don't have a pocket.
Mm.
And I carry a gun because I believe in keeping everyone around me safe. And I've been jumped carrying my gun, and I've never used it. I've always used my hands. But needing a gun and not having it is much worse than having it and not needing it. My mom always told me that.
What else did your mom tell you?
Okay, my mom was a very wise woman, is a very wise woman. And she taught me, number one, you can never have too much mayonnaise. She loved mayonnaise. She just put it in her fucking hair. It's like, it'll make it shiny. So she put mayonnaise in her hair. I love mayonnaise. I eat mayonnaise. I had mayonnaise yesterday with my fried chicken. I put mayonnaise on everything. You can never have too much mayonnaise. Okay. You can never unsuck a cock. You have to know that, because it was wise words from a wise woman, because sometimes you're in a position, like, I don't know, it could be a lonely night. It could be you're in a prison cell. It could be a lot of reasons, but that's one of these decisions that once you make, to do it, you can't take that back.
Yeah.
Like,
it's with you forever.
It's with you. I could like hit someone and then like, let's pretend that didn't happen. And I could get away from that. I could write something. I could erase it, right? I could video something. I could break the video. All right. But once you suck a cock, it sucked. It is fucking sucked for good. Right. And the other thing she taught me was really good was she said, if you ever need a gun, right? You ever need a gun, think of this. If you have a gun with you at all times and don't need it, bing, there's nothing wrong with that. But if you do need a gun and you don't have one, good news is you'll never need it again. Bad news is it's because you're fucking dead.
Yeah.
So I think it's a really important right that we do have as Americans. I've never been a felon. I've never been in trouble. And I fit the category for any kind of gun, background checks or whatever, serve my country, I've never even had a misdemeanor, for God's sake. So, I do believe in being safe and providing safety for my ohana around me. Mm-hmm. So I've never had to use it. Like I said, I've been jumped with it on me, and I've just gotten out with my hands. But if I was jumped with someone with a knife or maybe a gun pulled on me, then I would have, I could take it to that limit level if I had to.
Yeah. And I think Sam Harris talked about this when, I don't know, one of the big mass shootings that happened. And he wrote a big article on this, on gun laws, and just, really went against the grain of what everyone thought he was going to say. And said, like, you are a clown. And this is me paraphrasing in my own words, but how I read it was, you're basically a fool to think that police will arrive in time in a situation where you need to have a gun. There is no level, and you could be the best self-defense in the world. You can't stop a bullet, right? Yeah. So to have something, at least there, like, that is the ultimate protection.
It is the ultimate
cops are going to show up in like 15 minutes. You're done.
Average. To be honest, I love cops. We both do. Mm-hmm. Cops are fucking heroes in my book. But there's only like one cop for every like fucking 2,500 people. So they can't be there for every single one of them. and you're your own 911 call. We are our own 911 call. Where I live, I once called the cops because someone was on my property, and for a split second, I thought I saw a gun. So I called the cops, and I said, I got a person with a gun on my property. Can you please get your ass over here? And I ran and got my gun and just waited in the house, right? I timed it from the time I called. It took them 29 minutes to get there. Okay. Now, I love the cops. I love sheriffs in our county, and I do live way out in the boonies. So even more so, I need a gun where I am. But in the street, in the cities, the average time is right around 10 minutes. And in 10 minutes, do you know how many times you can get punched in the face in 10 minutes? While you're unconscious on the ground. You could get stomped. Check this out. You could get stomped 822 times if you're on the ground unconscious. Okay. You can get stabbed 3,000 times within 10 minutes. Okay. That's from the time you call the cops till they get there. You could get shot 922 times by the time the cops get there. Okay. So you are your own 911 call. And as much as I love cops, I respect cops, there's just not enough of them to go around. And we have to accept the fact that we are our own 911 call. And if you have a gun and you never need it, thank God for that. But if you do need it and you don't have it, you're fucked. And I'm not going to say you're a clown, but you're fucked. You're fucked and your family's fucked. And let me just tell you this. If you're fucked in front of your family, right? Like if you get the shit kicked out of you because you don't know how to fight in front of your wife, she will never suck your dick the same again. Bang. Do you agree? No, yeah. No, she'll look at you like you get your ass kicked and she's like, I thought guys knew how to fight. It's like girls know how to put on makeup and shit, put on fucking nail polish, and they knew how to do other things. Okay. But a guy should at least know how to fight. So like if she's with you and you get your ass whooped in front of her, she's like, what the fuck am I with this fucking bitch? She'll never suck your dick the same again. She might like do it and like say, oh, it's okay, honey. It's okay.
Just the tip. It's all hand at that point. We've got some good stats here. I don't know where it was. I think it was a meme on Instagram where it said the average. It wasn't a meme. It was some study published. Maybe Rogan was the guy that put it on the gram.
That guy's a genius. He is a genius. Fucking genius.
The average person who has been in a street fight thinks they are 3,000% more effective than they are. That's not trained.
When the first fight happens.
Yeah. So like they think that they're that much better.
Yeah.
They think they're so much better than they actually are. Yeah. Right. And obviously you know that because you get people talking your ear off
all day long. It's like and then I watch him hit a bag and it's like, you fucking bitch. Well, how have you lived your life this long and you're a grown ass man and you don't know how to throw a punch? That's seriously. I'm not even going to go on about it because we both feel the same way about it pretty much. Probably I'm a little more hard line on it, but yeah, that's he's so fucking smart. But once you've been in a street fight or once you've been in a cage fight and a street fight are very similar. They're not the same, but they're very similar. And the techniques, the strategies and the breathing and the conditioning are very similar. They're not exactly the same. There are some things that are different, but almost everything in a street fight and a cage fight, they cross over. So for a fact how fucking frustrating it can be when you're trying to hit someone and you can't hurt them. It's like the biggest nightmare in the world. You want to knock them out so bad, but you can't, right? And then they keep coming. And it's scary in the street in a different way because the repercussions, the end game can be so much different. You're going to end up fucking dead, right? In the cage, the referee will stop it or whatever, but it's so deceiving. It's so deceiving. The one big difference is the lack of fine motor skills. Like in the cage, since it's not a life or death, you still have a lot of adrenaline pumping, but you're able to utilize your fine motor skills a lot more than you can in the street. When you get in the street, jumped, everything is just turned so quick. Plus, you're not prepared and stuff. like you can't pry the fingers away. You all you can do is like try to push the hand back if you're trying to defend a body lock from the back, you know. You just can't do certain things. And so it's a little bit of different training, but the things that'll go through your mind are crazy. But once you've been in a fight and you know for a fact then that, oh shit, I better train, and you were right before, where you know you're fucking 5,000 times more of a bitch than you thought you were. Could you say it that way, right?
You could say it that
Yeah.
way. So what do you think, I remember, obviously, I think a lot of the listeners here remember the quote from Fight Club, how much could you know about yourself if you've never been in a fight? Do you think that applies to a lot of men in modern society, especially when you look at all of our friends, the social justice warriors and people that are
I do.
chiming in online?
I do, because I give you, for instance, I like toot my own horn, but I guess I do. No one else does, but my wife especially. But okay, so there's Mr. Onnit. Mr. Onnit was our PE teacher in high school, and like the first day in 10th grade, junior high school was 7th through 9th. I was the badass coming from my junior high. I was like the toughest guy in the school, but there's other guys coming from different junior high schools now. So I'm in high school, and we're on the field, and we're gonna play some football, flag football. I never played real football, but so they're picking teams, and one of the guys, he was somebody said, "Hey, pick that guy," and he pointed to me. He goes, "I'm not gonna pick a fucking Howley. I don't want a fucking Howley on my team." So I walked up to him, I shoved him, and I kicked him in the head, and he hit the ground. And and Mr. Onnit came running. Mr. Onnit's a big local. I thought he was gonna kick my butt. I didn't know him. This is like our second day of school in high school. And he goes, "What happened? What happened?" And I go, the guy goes, "Fucking Howley just kicked me in the head." And he looked at me, he goes, "Did you just kick him in the head?" I go, "Yeah." He goes, "Why?" He goes, "Because he called me a fucking Howley." And he looked at the guy. I swear to God, this guy's a big Hawaiian. Mr. Onnit's huge. And he's like, looked at the guy. He goes, "Did you just call him a fucking Howley?" And the guy goes, "Yeah." And he thought Mr. Onnit would go, "Yeah," and bond with him. He goes, "Well, then you deserved it. So now fucking stand up and keep playing." And I just remember thinking how cool that was. And that's the way it should be. But let me tell you a side note of that. Mr. Onnit comes to our black belt ceremonies now.
Very cool.
And he tells that story. Because some people might think, "Yeah, John, right." But he actually tells that story about how it happened.
That's
and
amazing.
how he remembers it. And
so by all standards of today's school, I remember when zero tolerance got implemented, because I'd fought a lot at school, and same kind of thing. At worst, I'd go to the principal's office. My parents would get a call.
How old are you?
I'm 37 now.
Okay, so
So, but I remember right when I got to high school, they implemented zero tolerance, so automatic expulsion for being in a fist fight. And but this is leading me to this next question that I wanted to ask you, which I think is really important when it comes to kids. But in that situation, the guy's talking shit.
Yeah.
And he was really running his mouth and probably deserved to get slapped. You went up to him and you set the record straight.
Yeah.
But if a principal's looking at that, or any other regular yard duty or PE teacher, they're probably going to say like, "Well, he was just running his mouth and you escalated it."
Exactly.
Right. And I got in a shit ton of trouble for doing that. Like if somebody shoved me and I knocked them out or took them down and pounded their face in, I would get in trouble for that.
Right.
But there is something that you believe in that I also believe in. And that is, if your kid's getting fucked with, or if a fight's about to start, do you teach your kid to only throw the second punch, or do you teach them to throw the first punch?
I teach them definitely to throw the first punch, always. But you brought up something where I defended one of my students, big brother, who's undefeated now in MMA. He's been with me since he was 4. Now he's 22. And he's the fucking nicest kid in the world. But he was getting shoved. I think when I was completely in the wrong, legally. I think in school, there's different rules. Schoolyard dominance is a lot different than self-defense for the street. Way different. We train our kids much different than our adults. It's a different goal, different everything. But if someone's mouthing off to you in school, fuck, they asked for it.
Yeah.
Right? Well, shut the fuck up. There's one way not to get your ass whipped. Shut the fuck up.
Mm-hmm.
In the street, I don't think that applies at all. I think if no matter what someone says to you, unless they say, "I'm going to hurt you right now." Okay. If they say they're going to hurt you right now and they're close enough to do it, I'm going to pretend that they really are, and I'll hit first. If they call me a fucking whatever name they want to, fucking cockmaster, whatever,
The cockmaster.
they could call me whatever they want. I'm not going to hit them first.
Yeah.
Unless they're close enough and I feel by their body language they're about to.
Yeah, if they're approaching.
So, but in the school, it's different because it's schoolyard dominance and you're trying to thwart the bully out of the bully, you know? So big brother, some guy shoved him, he knocked the guy out with a punch. He got expelled. He called me upset. I went down there and talked to the principal and I said, I understand if the guy was yelling at big brother and he hit him first, but he shoved him.
He put his hands on him.
Do you realize that shoving causes just as many deaths as punching? Because it's not the punch that does it. It's when somebody bounces their head off the concrete. And this was on the concrete. So should he wait till he shoved and hit his head on the concrete and he's in a coma with a fucking tracheostomy tube being turned by a Filipino nurse every 4 hours? Should he wait for that? Or should he wait till he gets shoved, falls, catches himself, snaps his fucking arm, and it never straightens out again? What does he wait for once he starts getting shoved, right? And the guy goes, God, yeah, that shit can really happen when you get shoved. You're right, Mr. Hackleman. He called Big Brother right there while I was in the office. He goes, come back to school. You're back here, you know? But the words, you know, I don't think you should ever fight over words, especially in the street.
Yeah.
Because the consequences are too high. You hit someone, kill them. There's a video. What are you going to say? Well, he called me a cockmaster, so I hit him. You're going to jail.
Yeah.
Right? So never fight over words, but I say always throw the first punch.
I like that a lot. It reminds me of a story with a good buddy of mine who recently passed away about a year ago. He was a year younger than me, so he died young. Great guy, definitely troubled life. But he was, when I was 19, we were bouncing at a place called Poly something. It was in Scottsdale, Arizona. And so it was a 70s and 80s club up until 1 a.m. was when alcohol cut. And then it was 18 and up after that, from 1 to 4 a.m., which is the shit show because all the 18-year-olds get hammered in the parking lot. There's bottles everywhere. We got to clean up after. And they come in. And we would be pretty understaffed for that. But it was me, him who had grown up doing full contact karate and taekwondo. And he could do the splits. And he was pretty yoked. He lifted weights. And at that time, I had the wrestling background. I was still playing football. Had also done a little bit of training at AK when Frank Shamrock was running the show there. And my other buddy who had a boxing background. So between the three of us, I felt pretty comfortable. There was 7 guys that we had to throw out for groping women in at a foam party. Because a lot of that shit goes down. There's foam you can't see. So the guys start getting grabby. And
Foam party?
A foam party where they fill like the room like with 4 feet of foam. You're walking through like soap. Basically dancing in, everyone's in bikinis, and these girls just get grabbed on. And so we had a girl run up to us, like screaming. This guy just put his hand in my, downstairs, and I caught him and said something, and he just mouthed off to me, and I was like, all right, well, they're gone. So we go up to the guy, and we realized he had a group of friends. And right as we were talking to him, he was kind of chill. And then all of his buddies stepped in and said, nope, you got the wrong guy. And we were like, wrong answer. And we started grabbing dudes. And it was a melee, and of course we're over 2 to 1 outnumbered. So he throws a beautiful side kick, but it hits the guy right in the throat and right in the Adam's apple, and it's actually choking him. And thankfully, he had his life saved we had Scottsdale PD right outside, and they were able to save the guy's life. But of course, he sued the club, and sued Christian, and it was a tough deal. But that's the whole thing. Like when you have the skill set, knowing where to exercise caution, just because.
Yeah.
Like anything can go down like that. I've seen guys, we worked at a pseudo strip club, Sporty's Bikini Bar in Sunnyvale. Good shout out. The whole time I was in the UFC and making shit money in the UFC. And we threw some guys out, and guys would keep running up, and I had other buddies working with me. It was usually only 2 of us. And, if we were outside, I'd let stuff go on down. Like we're in the parking lot. We're no longer on Sporty's premises. If you want to finish something up, go for it. I usually didn't have to worry about that myself, but with some of the other team members, it would go down. And I remember a guy just my coworker blasted this dude in the face, and it dropped him on the asphalt. And I was like, bro, that can never happen out here. If you want to choke a guy with a guillotine or something like that, that's fine. Make a point that way. Don't knock a dude out on the asphalt. That's a big no-no. So thankfully he wasn't hurt, and they ended up leaving. When they came to, he felt embarrassed and took off. But I was like, that could have gone all wrong.
Yeah, more people die of the head bouncing off the concrete. It's a brutal way to go. You know, it's like you watch the takedowns and that slam a couple weeks ago in the UFC, and that could be life ending. Definitely life changing. And you know, every time you're training, we work so much takedown defense. My street guys and I am my MMA team, but my street guys don't do it just because they want to train like the MMA guy. No, fucking being slammed in the street is life ending. Your fucking head bounced off the concrete. You're never waking up. So it's a vital skill to have, takedown defense, and takedowns for that matter. So yeah, it's a brutal thing. And street fights are different. One thing about bar fights are usually bar fights. They're not self-defense. Unless you're a bouncer and you get attacked, then boom, it's fucking on. But like the women's self-defense, like they learn all these wrist locks and shit, you know, like, yo, put it around here and do this.
Small joint manipulation, bullshit like that.
It's like if a guy grabs you in a bar, let me tell you, I'll teach you all women this right now. And the only time, if a woman grabs you in the bar, if a guy grabs you in the bar, if he's good looking, then you like it. If he's not, then you're gonna call the bouncer, tell him to let go. So if a bad looking guy grabs you in a bar, here's your self-defense move. I'll show you your self-defense. All right. So you grab me any way you want. Bouncer, this guy's fucking won't leave me alone. Can you come kick his ass out? That's your self-defense right there. That's it. Just call the fucking bouncer. If it happens in the street, a whole different story. If you're alone walking or in a place where, you know, you're not in a bar, then there's all kind of other self-defense. And that is a very serious thing because nobody should be putting their hands on you ever, ever. And once they do, you have to assume they want to do you great bodily injury, because if they do, right, and you're not prepared for it, you're fucked. But if you fucking defend yourself overly and you fucking hurt them really bad and they weren't going to really hurt you, they should have kept their fucking hands to themselves in the first place. Really? I mean, why would some guy come up and grab you like this, right? You have to assume he's about to stab me. He's about to kill me. You have to think that in that split second and fucking hit him, try to drop him right now. What are you going to wait? And you want to talk to him and say, you're going to try to talk him down?
Yeah.
Hey,
that's
now.
not okay.
Hey, let's
yourself,
talk.
Please.
Let's talk. This is not okay that you're grabbing me aggressively in the shirt. That's not the time to talk. If he's arm's length away and he's yelling at you and he can't touch you yet, you could try to talk him down. Hey, bro, what's up, man? I don't want to fight. But you need to back the fuck off. I'm telling you right now, do not come closer. But what's wrong? Do you want to talk about this? You know, oh, you cut me off. I'm a terrible driver. I'm sorry. I really admit that. But back the fuck off. Do not come in this zone right here. Okay? So there's my talking down. But the second they come in my zone, why would they come in? If you ask someone to back the fuck off nicely, like back the fuck off, that's nicely, and they don't, why? If somebody told you to back the fuck off and you're talking to them on the street, I would bet my house right now, you would back the fuck off.
Yeah, because I don't want to be in the fight in the first place.
Right.
I've got nothing to prove. There's no more chip on my shoulder.
Perfect.
Let's talk about that, actually.
But if they step one step further, but why? So why would they, if they take a step further, you probably would think they want more.
Yeah. And then we got to put an end to it.
Yeah.
But, you know, that was something I realized among a lot of the black belts in jiu-jitsu that I'd worked with was there was, and in any real martial art, there's a calmness, you know, sometimes they're playful, they're more aloof.
Yeah.
And it's like they've exercised whatever that itch was that maybe got them into it in the first place, the need to defend themselves, probably haven't been picked on or growing up in a rough area, but they no longer need to prove it to everybody because they've already done it before.
Yeah.
They've already tapped 1,000 times. So they don't have to be an asshole about it. And should shit hit the fan, like if I see guys in the bar scenario, which happened for years, I bounced from 19 up until I was 33, I want to say 34, long time. And in that, like if there was a guy like Ryan Giles, my man over here, old Ryan, if old Ryan was in the club with his almost blue belt, that's a guy who I might have to worry about because he's still coming up the ladder. He hasn't been in the game that long, and he might still have that chip on his shoulder. Whereas if a really high-level black belt like Yuri Samos comes through, I'm like, this guy's good. Obviously, he can defend himself, but he's not looking for shit to hit the fan either. You know, has that been your experience as you've trained a lot of people over the years, and even in yourself included? You know, like you had a very fight or flight childhood.
Yeah.
And to finally take that power into your own, to be able to defend yourself and pull your shoulders back and look people in the eye, it's a shift. But then also once the word is out and people understand, my boy Ryan Giles over here doesn't have his blue belt yet, but he's sweating to the oldies, so he's trying to fan us at the door. Anywho, did you see that? How does that shift happen? When does it happen?
You know what? That's a good question, and usually it'll happen when that switches, and whenever that is, it's different for everyone. But and you know this, I could name some people, but I'm not gonna. But there's some people even that make it to the top already of the UFC, or the top of boxing, or the top of wrestling, and they never quite get that.
Yeah,
and those are the fucking people you got to watch out for. But with that said, okay. If you go to the UFC, any meeting with the UFC, I feel when I go to the UFC, a fight, say I'm going to work a corner, there's no other time that I feel safer and more comfortable where I can just sit in a bar in the hotel or the restaurant in the hotel, and I'm surrounded by fighters, which are martial artists, and their trainers and their coaches, etc., and other martial artists, and I don't have to sit facing the door. You know, like sometimes I feel like I'm so relaxed. Yeah. I can just fuck with everybody, have fun with everybody, because there are those guys that are always violent pricks, but the majority of people that are violent pricks and train stop being violent pricks, right? And the majority of people that get into martial arts in the first place aren't. So it's like almost every martial artist you know who's a black belt at the the Super Show in Vegas, which is coming up the first week in July at the Bellagio, and it's the Martial Arts Super Show, and it's a convention for martial artists. And when I go there, I'm just like, oh fuck, I feel like I'm at home. When I go to a UFC fight, I remember, oh shit, I feel like I'm at home. And I've never felt that close around like my friends back home, or even when I was in the Army. I love those guys, but I never had the same feeling as I did. Oh, when I was in the Army boxing team, that's probably the closest I've ever been to a group of guys. When you guys used to come down and help out Chuck, when the AKA guys come, and then we'd be hanging out. I mean, it's like it's like so relaxed when you're with a bunch of other martial artists that there's nothing you worry about. You can just fucking be goofy, and you can even act gay. I'm not saying.
I remember Chuck said, "No one's gonna outgame me."
Yeah, no.
I love that. I love that.
But two people did. Ramsey Ninjum.
Yep. Okay, that's true. Stripper Ramsey.
And Antonio Banuelos. Those two have Chuck beat.
I think he was okay with passing Antonio the torch.
Yes, he was.
But we covered a lot here in this one. Where can people find you online? And we got the sign right behind us, the Pit Online Dojo. So if you want this stuff and you're not living in Southern California or anywhere else where there's a pit, you can find it online.
You can find it online. Just go to thepit.tv. Thepit.tv, we're here. I got this new conglomeration with Master Wong, who is he's a martial arts expert. He's all over YouTube, millions of followers. His name is Master Wong, and we have gotten together, and we seem to really hit it off, and we're our goal is, to be honest, it's like we want everybody to be safe. I want everybody to be safe. I don't want anybody to be picked on. I don't want anybody to be bullied. I don't want anybody to be fucking raped or molested or fucking bullied. And we honestly want that. I want that at this gym. I know you want that. You go about it your way. I go about it my way. But as martial artists, we want everybody to be safe. And that's our goal. Bang.
I love it. Bang. Coach, it's been amazing having you on. Thank you, brother.
Thank you, brother.
Yeah.